Because I'm in contracting itself, I find the supply chain is a very interesting dynamic. There's, I would say, a strong compliance culture that comes through the supply chain sometimes, and I'm not so sure that organisations really have an awareness of what their expectations are through the supply chain. So what might look good for, say, a client organisation and their expectations may not necessarily come through from the others in the supply chain.
The biggest challenge with managing a supply chain is that you've got a procurement policy that's most often looking at making it as cheap as possible. And so as soon as you make economics the driver or the largest driver in a selection process, you are going to set yourself up to fail because you have a series of, I'll call it one-night stands, when really what we want to have a relationship that's enduring, so we can get to understand not only our primary contractor, but who our primary contractor uses to help them do their job. And that requires quite a lot of work and it requires quite a commitment, but I think it leads to great outcomes. When we started at First Gas, we had about 60 engineering providers, and it was really hard to work out who was good and how we were working with them. So what we did about 4 years ago is we reduced that down to 3 key suppliers. And the great thing about having key suppliers with long-term relationships is we can move away from the, who's the cheapest to do the job, to how can we do this job the best? And so we have great conversations with our suppliers where they go, great engineering design, but actually if you built it this way, it'd be so much easier for us to do our work, or it'd be safer for us to do our work, or it might even be cheaper for us to do our work. That ongoing relationship really early in the work process has been hugely important for us.
That change from looking at lowest price and what do you get for the bottom dollar versus contractor engagement and solution-driven approach to going, hey, we want to create this, build this, and getting the experts in the room from all fields to actually input into that and then creating the best solution moving forward.
I think a good supply chain is a very managed and deliberate supply chain. And I don't want to underestimate that if you have a long-term procurement relationship with someone, that doesn't mean that it's easier than doing a series of tenders and the like. It actually takes quite a lot of work to understand what they're doing, to make sure that the services they're providing or the goods they're providing are a reasonable cost, but also to really understand the risks in the work that they're doing for you. So it's a deliberate, managed relationship. It doesn't just happen, you have to work at it.
When you look at your people and know that they're the best place to provide the health and safety expertise or the expertise for anything that needs to get done. I think the same is true for the supply chain. You know, look at the contractors or the suppliers within that supply chain to really provide the technical knowledge, know-how and what is good practice rather than having a compliance dictatorship through the supply chain.